Hello everyone, so today we have a build that I haven't really been able to play around with much since Professor X was in such a dominant place. It just wasn't viable to run this one, and that's going to be a pretty standard Phoenix Force Nimrod deck. Both of these can offer just so much consistent high power plays across the board that a lot of times you can find a way to outpower and outplay even if you don't get your perfect ideal draws. And so the main idea with this deck is that one of your combos is going to be a Human Torch or Multiple Man Destroy into Phoenix Force Resummon, and then you can spread that power across the board. If it's Human Torch, you can always hit the Human Torch on the last turn with something like Arnold Zola to be able to spread that power into two different locations. A lot of times it's going to be about 32 power in each lane. You have to be cautious of a last turn Killmonger or a Shadow King or something similar if you're going that line. The other one is going to be Multiple Man into being destroyed into resummoned. All of the multiple men that are across the board can be moved around the board. So with Professor X allowing cards to be able to be moved into his location, Multiple Man is a fantastic potential hit. And then typically it's going to be about 24 power in each of your lanes if you get the ideal play on that one. If you don't, we have the backup line of the Shuri into Nimrod into a double destroy, or Shuri into Nimrod into maybe an Arnold Zola if something weird happens. But we have a lot of ways to position that power to find the optimal plays. And with the double Nimrod, so with Shuri, double power Nimrod, and a double destroy, we're going to be pressuring upwards of 30 power into each lane. This deck does put that power level up consistently, but it does have a ceiling. It's never going to beat the high roll of something like Living Tribunal, and that's why we have Scarlet Witch. Living Tribunal decks, or those decks that typically go really tall, are going to need that extra turn for that turn 7. Scarlet Witch can rip that away and allow you to get some easy, cheap wins by making them think that it wasn't the last turn of the game. With Iron Lad, if we don't draw our potential out, sometimes it's going to be that Hail Mary play. There are so many times that you play Iron Lad out and it ends up hitting Nimrod if you play him on 5, and it hits that last perfect spot, especially if you've had something like Nico to destroy a card into allowing you to have card draw. But with the shift in the meta, this is back on the menu. I've had some pretty decent success with it. You can swing some really big games in your favor. You have to be careful, and you're not going to be able to get your combos off every single game. So there are going to be some times where it's more optimal to retreat for one if you don't draw things that look like it's going to go in your favor. The other good thing about this deck is that it's very kind of linear in that you can read what you're going to do very early. And so if in your opening hand you have Multiple Man, you have Phoenix Force, and a Destroy tool, you're probably going to snap early. There are chances that the opponent can still counter those plays that you're wanting to do, but you have a really good shot. If they don't have those, it's going to be really hard for them to stop. And so it's going to be one of those decks that you can snap before the plays happen, so that you can really maximize your cube equity when you have an ideal hand and retreat for one when you don't. We're going to go ahead and jump over into a couple of games. Thank you guys as always for being here. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, next up we have Doomeep, one of the two. We do have Human Torch starting off. I'm going to go ahead and play it into the middle location. Nah, I'm going to play it into the right location. That way, if the middle location is something like the Space Throne, we're not absolutely limiting ourselves, and we can use Carnage and not have much of an issue. I kind of like the idea of doing Multiple Man, though. I like that into the Phoenix Force rather than the Human Torch. Human Torch is just very susceptible, and Multiple Man gets you power all across the board. It's not quite within Shang-Chi range, so you get a lot more value there. And we can do Venom. We can do Carnage. We also have the Shuri into Nimrod line if we don't draw into Phoenix Force, which is beautiful. And so I almost want to save these because just Shuri, Nimrod, and a double destroy is so much power across the board. That's what we're going to do. We're going to skip here. So they have Hope Summers. Not sure what. All we know is the Jeff and the Hope Summers. And we do top deck the Phoenix Force, which is so unfortunate. But I think it was the safer play because that was a 1 out of 6 draw. Or if we went with the Iron Lad, we can have one or the other. I'm going to play Shuri into mid. We have Nimrod. And then we're just going to go for the double destroy in the last turn. As long as they don't have a Professor X, this line should be perfectly fine. The Shuri, Nimrod. Now, a Shadow King could be pretty detrimental if they are able to get it before the destroys start happening. But we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. Let's go with the Shuri into the Nimrod. If they have a White Widow, then that could absolutely derail us here. But typically if they have it, unless they just drew it, You usually see it come down a little bit earlier than this. So the double drop in mid is scary. Legion into the negative ninjas into both the other lanes, which are perfectly fine because we are going to absolutely decimate those. We have the lead already, and so we're going to be able to get the trigger first. I like the idea of doing Venom first and then Carnage. That's going to put a lot of power over here, a lot of power over here. I would snap, but at this point, I think it's a little bit too late. I think they would retreat if we ended up snapping. All right, so they triple stack in the right location. I'm curious what they have over there, but we have the Venom coming down, that voice line, unfortunate. And then Carnage in the left lane. We're not competing for the left, we're competing for middle and the right lane, which we have 24 power there. That's a lot to overcome. The Angela, the Kitty Pryde, and then the Sage. That is not going to be able to do it. They do end up staying for the additional one, thankfully. Thankfully, they stay for the additional one. I think if we would have snapped, they would have retreated, but we grab the comfortable 2. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Supreme Savage, and we have the beautiful curve. I'm going to go ahead and wait just a couple of ticks, and then we're going to snap on it. We have the multiple man, and then even if Altar of Death wasn't in place, we have Carnage or Deathlock to destroy it on 3, and then Phoenix Force to resummon on 4. With Altar of Death, we can actually increase that curve to resummoning it on turn number 3, and then we have that many extra turns to just spread that amount of power across the board. And so they do stay on the turn 1 snap. Thank you very much, by the way. Let's go ahead and destroy our multiple man into the Altar of Death, and that is where I think they're going to start realizing how bad off they are. Cloning Vats is crazy with... Cloning Vats is crazy with a Phoenix Force. It comes back into the hand as a Phoenix Forced version, right? Either way, I think next turn we're going to aim to do a Scarlet Witch into the Cloning Vat so that they can't duplicate their cards. But I like the idea of having the secondary version to be able to use how I want to and where I need to. And so we have the duplicate here. That's just a 2/8. Just a 2/8. And I don't think when we play it, he'd be able to move. I guess just to find out, we can go ahead and play the second one. We do have Nico to be able to destroy and kind of draw into maybe like a Nimrod, maybe a Venom to consolidate and clear up some space. I don't think we need to. I'm moving multiple man, the first one over to the left. He'll bounce back over and to the right. We have them one in the middle that I think is going to be stationary. I don't know for sure. And then Scarlet Witch is going to make sure that they can't continue to clone their cards in the cloning vats, which I think is going to be a really big piece of the puzzle here. And so now now it's Elysium, so they get a deep discount, which is definitely not what we want to see. With something like Iron Man in place. Oof. Is it a Living Tribunal deck? We can move him. They got a lot of power across the board. But if they get the ultimate combination, then it's going to be really tough to overcome. Maybe we could, depending on where they did magic, we could move this one and hit it with an Arnhem Zola. No, move resolves first, right? So it'd be a 50-50. We're going to do this. I'm not going to play any cards, and we'll see what they play. That Iron Man is very, very scary, though. That is a big stack into Elysium. Okay, so Angela, Nocturne is fine. And so it's not Living Tribunal. I'm a little bit less scared. We do have to very much kind of fear the Elysium lane. But I also think maybe that's okay. Is it worth it to play anything? I don't think we even play any cards. I think it's just... That's going to leave one space over here, I think. Hold on. That's too many card movements. All right. So we have one that's going to leave two and one over here. And so that leaves one. Comes back. This one's full. This one's full. All lanes except for this one are completely full. We could do something like highest base power play is going to be just a Nico. I don't think it's great. But that's what we're going to send. Depending on what all they have and what they can do in mid, that's going to be the true test, because that is where the bulk of our struggle is going to come from. And then if they don't reinforce Elysium, maybe we can overtake that one, because it's just 18 right now with them moving Nocturne out. And so all of the sticky cards moving back and forth and back and forth. We have that one jumping mid. We need to have that one jumping to the right to cap that one out. And then I think this one jumps over to the right, yeah? It better. Okay. That brings us up to at least 19 over there. It really depends on what they end up playing into mid, if it bumps this right lane at all. Luke Cage, perfectly fine. And then Sage, also perfectly fine. What a ridiculous amount of multiple men across the board. We get the clean sweep. We get the 4 cubes against Supreme Savage. We will absolutely take it where we can. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Amon. The first location is Machine World. We're going to avoid that one like the plague. We do have multiple man, and so if we end up getting a Destroy tool, great. If not, we have Shuri into Nimrod, which is also going to be a really decent way for us to kind of play that in-game. It may require us to play into the Vibranium Mines. Wait a minute. They gave us Phoenix Force, but they also completely capped out our hand. So we weren't able to draw. We weren't able to draw, so we're looking to draw into 2 Destroy tools. But as soon as we play into the Vibranium Mines, it becomes tough. So maybe we do something like Shuri into Nimrod. Shuri would switch sides, which is nice to see. And then that makes sure that we don't clog up our draw chances. And so they played into Machine World. We gave them 2 card draws. They don't copy the Maximus, but they do copy the Human Torch. And so we do get 1 Destroy tool here. And so I'm going to go ahead and snap. I think we're in a really good spot. Even though we weren't able to get the Phoenix Force version, the Nimrod backup line is just so strong after the Shuri play. And so Shuri will still work in Castle Zemo after she switches sides to allow us to do the Nimrod, the Carnage at the very least. We're looking to do Carnage and a Deathlock, Carnage and a Venom for even more measure, even better measure. And they do stick out the snap. We have Shuri switching sides. They do play into the left location, so hopefully, ooh, they have a Shuri of their own. Surely not. We aren't able to draw, though, because of the Shuri play, unfortunately. Let's go with a singular Nimrod. They're going to play into Machine World, so we'll get the doubled up version of whatever they play, or they skip here, which is nice. That allows us to draw into a Deathlock, which we desperately needed. They could do a 20 power She-Hulk and a 20 power Taskmaster, which would bring them to 31 over here. This is going to be 24. It brings us to 32. It'd be tight, but... And they also can't play here, so we really don't need to worry too much about this lane. Because they haven't played anything, it would switch sides, which is fantastic. Meaning that we just really need to focus on these 2 locations. I think just the Carnage would be enough to win the Castle Zemo location. So let's go Deathlock into mid. That's going to push 24 extra power to the left. That pushes... Oh, that actually pushes quite a bit back over here. So we have the Carnage. I do think playing it over to the left was probably the safer play. The Deathlock, that is. Because then we could have had at least 24 mid, and I think that covers all of our bases, just in case they do anything weird. But we're going to hope that it is the She-Hulk and the Taskmaster line. And so... She-Hulk Orca line is crazy. We could have, either way, we would have been able to bring that one home. It wasn't the Taskmaster, but it was very, very scary. We beat the left lane by 1. I'm glad our calculations held through. And then the right lane was an easy win because they couldn't play without a card switching sides. We will take the 4. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Piddly. And the first location is Starlight Citadel. We have both Multiple Man and Phoenix Force already. So we just now need a tool or mechanism to destroy it by turn number 3. Whether that be a location, whether that be Carnage, Venom, or even Nico in certain situations, could be the card that we need to bring it home. So an Agent 13, it has to be like a Dino deck. Anytime I see Agent 13, I start thinking of a somewhat low collection level deck. Now, Sinister London is actually a little bit scary because most of our power level doesn't go incredibly tall. It just looks to spread wide consistently. I think our biggest go tall tool would be the Shuri into Nimrod, and we actually don't get a destroy mechanism here. So I think I'm going to just skip into the Shuri on 4, Nimrod on 5, looking to do a double destroy on 6. So that I can continue drawing, I'm going to play into the left location. If we were worried about White Widow, if we were worried about debris, this would be really risky, but I don't think we are. Looking at this collection level, I don't think that that's what we're up against. Seeing the Medusa and the Lizard and the Ant-Man, you could even think Cerebro 5 if you hadn't already seen the Agent 13. So we get Arnim Zola, so that's not necessarily the destroy tool that we want to see. And with the location switching sides, thankfully Dark Dimension didn't pop over here. But we are going to go ahead and... Oh, wait. We need to play Nimrod to the right, which I think is actually okay. It allows us to do Arnim Zola. We almost messed up with the Shuri switch because Shuri ties to the location and not necessarily the lane. It was almost bad. We're going to play Nimrod to the right. That should double up his power. And then there's a small chance we could draw into like Carnage and then use Phoenix Force to top deck into either Venom or Deathlock. It's not a great one. We would have to draw Carnage here to have that potential line.
Opponent snapped.
They have a Cosmo. They have a Cosmo. We're cooked. Otherwise, this could be pretty good if it hits either one of these. Or this adds 24 and 24. Is 24 enough in this lane, though? I don't know that it is. We're gonna go for the Gamba. If this is a double, okay. The Spectrum is expected. I was really afraid of the Cosmo, though. That would have absolutely cooked us. So we have the Carnage coming down. 24 in mid is definitely not enough, and so we're gonna need a lucky like Venom. Venom is the perfect top deck here because that's going to keep the middle location. It's going to send Nimrod somewhere else, and then it's going to duplicate the Venom, which is wild. Probably exactly what we needed to see. Venom coming in mid is going to be a huge, it looks like 46 power, and pushes a massive amount to the left, a massive amount to the right, and it doesn't matter what they have. It is not going to be enough. That is just the most wild top deck from the Iron Lad. Drawing the Carnage into the Iron Lad, giving us that option, was huge in and of itself. We'll take the 4 additional cubes. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have Scooch. The first location is Mojo World, which is unfortunate. Actually, no, it's not. We have Nico, we have Multiple Man, and then we have Phoenix Force. And so we're going to be able to make sure that he's destroyed by 2. We can just hold the rest of our resources. We can we can make sure that Multiple Man spreads enough to jump over into Mojo World enough times that it's capped out, and then we're just going to spread high power across the rest of the board. And so we snapped on turn 1 because we have that ideal line. There are still occasions where we might lose if they can go a little bit higher, or they get a little bit, maybe they disrupt our Phoenix Force. But if not, then we have a really good shot at just having that dominant pressure across the board. We have the extra draw from Nico, so we have really all of the resources we could utilize. Hotel Inferno, however, does get pretty dicey. So if they play a card into Hotel Inferno, that's going to decrease the consistency of our Phoenix Force. So maybe we go Shuri, Nimrod into a double destroy. Maybe that's what we end up going with because of this Hotel Inferno. Just unfortunate. Unfortunate location. It destroys our Deathlock. Do we go with the 50-50 of the Phoenix Force since we have Shuri in hand? I don't think we do. I think we go Phoenix Force, Nimrod into a Venom and a Carnage. That's going to put 24 over to the right, give us a little more than 24, like 30 something in mid, and then we don't have to worry about left at all, since we're not going to be able to win or utilize it anyways. So the Sentry coming down, we have to look out for a Nihilist now. We also have to look out for a potential Cersei. Either one I think is probably okay. Let's go with the Nimrod play. Unfortunate with the Hotel Inferno popping up as that last location. But it is what it is. We'll take the consistency or the consistent output of the Shuri Nimrod rather than gamble it on the Phoenix Force. And so a lot of cards stacking over into Mojo World with the Mysterio coming down. That looks like it's going to be setting up for a Cersei play. But we can't be certain. I hope it's not an Annihilus play because that would hurt with the Void. But I also think it's going to be okay. We're going to do Venom. We're going to go Carnage to the left just like we had planned earlier. This deck, you do have to watch out for what potential plays the opponent has. But a lot of times you have that ideal combo or that line way in advance. You can usually see your ideal play or know how you're going to play from turn number 1 sometimes. And even if they have Annihilus, since we have initiative, it won't matter. All right, so they do have the double drop. They go for capitalizing and capping out the left lane. I have to think the left is a 1-drop and the right is going to be Cersei. And so Cersei is inconsistent. It's going to have to take a lot to over. Oh no, it's just Mockingbird. Interesting. Mockingbird and then Annihilus. But we do capitalize and cap out that right lane. So the Annihilus, the negative void is not going to come our way. We overcome mid, we overcome the right, and we are able to grab the 4 cubes. All right, next up we have Spider Hal. We get the Nico that has the destroy ability. We don't have Phoenix Force yet, and so I'm going to go ahead and play it. And then it may be that we skip a turn or two. We ideally are going to be able to destroy Multiple Man, potentially Human Torch, but we do have the Shuri line, so if we don't draw Phoenix Force, we have that potential as well. All right, so we're going to go ahead and skip here. If we don't draw into one of the move tools, then I will just play a card to get the extra draw. We're just going to play Scarlet Witch. That is going to change this location, draw into 2 additional cards for us, and so we'll be able to more than likely get our Nimrod to be used in unison with Shuri. And so we do destroy the mid, we get Multiple Man and Venom. Unfortunately, their Scarlet Witch comes down into Nor Dimension. Interesting. We do get a Rock in Eternity range, but I think that's okay. We now have the Shuri line. We don't currently have Nimrod, but if we don't draw it this turn, then we'll have a 1 out of 3 chance for Iron Lad to hit it. And so the Mysterio, we know that they have Mockingbird, and so they're looking to play that one soon. They are going to get the Nor Dimension, or the Jin from the Nor Dimension. The White Widow comes down, but that's not a huge... Oh. We're not going to draw. Unfortunate. I'm going to play the Jin out, but we didn't allow extra room for draw, so it is going to be the unfortunate 1 out of 4 instead for Iron Lad to hit. So Annihilus does send the Hood on their side, unfortunately. It does discount our Mockingbird even further, but we'll see what this ends up hitting. Nimrod. Wow, super lucky. And then the Jin bringing Mockingbird down to 1, and we get the extra energy. So we might be able to do 3, 6, 7, 8. We can actually do 3 destroys here. And so the first one to clean up this lane. The next one to hit here, and then also hit here. That'll put a lot to the left, a lot to the right. Oh, and we have the extra 4 Mockingbird as well. What are we doing with the Multiple Man? We want Deathlock mid, not Multiple Man. Okay. This one clears it up. This destroy pushes over here. I think before that, let's... Jin. Carnage, Venom, Deathlock. Very sloppy play, but I think we're going to be able to pull it out. This is going to give us a lot of push in the left lane, which they're probably not going to be anticipating. We're going to get a lot in the right location as well. They have Morph, which turns into our Nimrod. They have Nocturne as well, and then the Jhin. None of those are going to dismantle our play here. And so the Jhin comes down, and then that's just going to give an extra 1 power in the right lane. Probably not game-breaking, especially seeing as they only have 12, a max of 16. But Carnage is going to clear up that very much needed space for us to allow the double destruction of the Nimrod here to go to the left and go to the right. Took a little bit of luck. I don't know that I could have stayed on this one had it been for 2 or 4 cubes before the Iron Lad hit, but afterwards, very comfortable bringing it the rest of the way home. We are able to grab the 2, and that is where we're going to go ahead and end this video. Very consistent in its inconsistency. It has a lot of combos, so it is inconsistent in the sense that it's a combo deck, but it can put out a lot of power very consistently across the board through multiple play lines. So if you don't draw one, ideally you have the other. We're going to go ahead and end it. Thank you guys as always for being here. I hope you guys enjoyed.